Yo, how's it going, guys? I know I'm about to be super late to what I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter because I still want to talk about it because I find it interesting, even if I am finding out about it multiple months late. It's just kind of, I guess, surrounded around how professional athletes blow their money, but not really entirely that. It's more specifically Odell Beckham Jr.'s take on the whole situation and kind of what I think is going on here. Let's just watch the clip and I'll tell you what I think about it real quick.
Might possibly have, I know, I'm gonna be straight after football, period. If I didn't have $1 in my account right here today as we speak, I'm gonna be straight for the rest of my life. I don't think everybody is in that. Bro, you give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. We're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, that you have to spend, use, save, invest, and now you start breaking down the numbers. It's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting $8 million. Can you make that last forever? And you always hear the people who ain't us and ain't been in the position, be like, oh, well, that would last a lifetime. Yeah.
I think he's saying that he's fine. He has a huge legacy that he can kind of ride on forever. I mean, he had that crazy catch back in the day. He's always going to be able to hop on podcasts and make money if he needs to. But he's more saying other players, you give him a $100 million contract, but it really only is $60 million. And is that enough to last a lifetime, right?
Can you make that last forever?
To answer your question, yes, that is 100% enough money to last a lifetime. That is the dumbest question ever. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would feel bad for someone in that situation who goes broke, because they're earning so much more. I mean, the average salary, I think, is $50,000, somewhere around there. I know the median is $45,000. If you're making $45,000 a year, it is literally going to be impossible to get to that $60 million number. And I actually did some math on how much you could live off of with $60 million. This is after taxes, and this is just to prove that I think Odell Beckham Jr. here is way out of touch with reality, and he's just, I think, gotten so much money that he's kind of lost touch, and he's just kind of speaking, I guess, to other super rich people like himself here. Before I get into this math, I just want to clarify, I'm not one of these people that just hates rich people and is like, oh, they shouldn't have that amount of money because no person needs that amount. I don't really care if they have it, but I'm not gonna feel bad for football players or people that have tens of millions of dollars that spend through all of it, because they're in such a privileged spot. They have the biggest safety net ever to not have that happen to them. And there are people that are actually having to work and struggle. So I'm not gonna feel bad for people that do this. All right, so I got my little Excel sheet here, right? I got 3 scenarios of the $60 million NFL player. So the first one is they don't invest anything, which, first of all, nobody should do that. So I picked the number $200,000 a year, and then I adjusted it for inflation, which is 2.7% each year. So it adds up. And I did 80 years, and after 80 years, they would have spent $55 million, over 4 times the median salary here in the United States. So that was kind of a worst case scenario, because realistically, if you have that money, you should hire a financial advisor and get it actually invested. The second scenario is there's a rule called the 4% rule. That's a way you're supposed to be able to live off of your money forever. This is more of a best case scenario. And the number that I have for this is $2.4 million a year to live off of and never run out of money. Again, this is the $60 million. This is net of tax. This is not pre-tax money in his scenario. And then I have the 3% rule, since some people are saying, oh, if you're gonna retire young, 4% might be too much, so maybe you should do 3% instead. Even with the 3%, you'd be living off of $1.8 million a year, adjusting it for inflation each year, by the way, for the rest of your life. That not enough to live off of. Because according to Odell Beckham Jr., he doesn't think that it's reasonable to expect his fellow NFL players to be able to live off that for the rest of their lives. I guess you could think about it with my $200,000 example. That's way above what normal people earn, and they're able to live off of so much less than that their whole lives. I would say yes, they are able to live off of this, and it's a little weird to even be asking that. I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is broke, but it was weird that after this podcast came out, he sold his Super Bowl cleats for $50,000. If you have a $60 million net worth, $50,000 isn't really doing much for you. You know, it's not going to change your life at all. So not sure why he did that. Hopefully he's not broke, but honestly, if he is, I don't think it's like feeling bad for a kid with a trust fund for spending the whole thing. Like nobody's gonna feel bad for a kid that does that. Another thing that I don't like is whenever they're like, oh, they don't teach financial literacy in school or whatever. And it's,
we weren't taught this skill.
Yeah, they didn't teach it in the rest of our schools either. I mean, I went to college and they still didn't teach us financial literacy, and I majored in accounting. So I would say nobody's really taught that. It's kind of one of those self-taught things. It's always the same excuse, like, oh, it's not taught in school. It's not taught in anybody's school. Like, you got to stop making the excuses. At some point, you got to realize I am spending all of the money I make. Is that not noticeable? The only way it's not is if you're just not checking your bank account ever. A lot of stuff has to go unnoticed for you to spend every single dollar you make, which is why I'm not really gonna feel bad for people in certain situations to do that. Obviously, if it's someone not making a lot of money, whatever, but if it's someone, you know, who basically has earned what could be generational wealth and be giving his kids trust funds, and he's like, oh, I don't think it's enough money. It's like, well, you're just terrible with money. I don't know what to say. I know that obviously there's no such thing as enough money, but come on, dude. Like, I don't really know whose target audience was. Like, nobody watched that and was like, oh, I feel so bad for him. Everybody's like, dude, you can definitely make that last a lifetime. You're an idiot. The only thing was, a lot of people interpreted it as he was saying he himself was broke, but he was more talking about other NFL players. It is estimated that 78% of professional athletes, I think, go broke within 2 years after finishing playing. So what he's talking about is a very serious problem. It's just, why is he taking the accountability out of it? Like, yeah, it is a problem. Like, these athletes are pretty much earning way more than the average person by so much, and not living in the real world at all and completely going broke anyways. It's their fault, and he's acting like we're supposed to be feeling bad for them here. Yeah, it was just a short video. That just kind of grinded my gears. Like a kid with a trust fund talking about his other trust fund friends being like, yeah, like, dude, like, our parents only gave us like $20-30 million each. Like, how are we supposed to live off that? Like, it's just not enough. Most people will never touch anywhere near that. Most people don't even have 10% of what he's complaining about here. We get it, you're rich, but you don't need to complain to your broke fans that your 60 million isn't enough. Odell Beckham Jr.'s cringe. I think he's out of touch with reality a little bit, which is fine, but complaining about it's a little cringe. Honestly, if that happens to you, you kind of deserve it, I'm not gonna lie.